What is going on, everybody? How are we doing? It is on and cracking. Today is March 8th, 2024. We're about to take off and class is in session. But before I begin, my name is Julien Stoutt. I'm a licensed personal trainer, licensed PE teacher, world record powerlifter. Here to take the fear out of fitness and help you become the best version that you can possibly be. So, today, you see the title in the thumbnail, Drug Company Blasts Hollywood for misuse of medication. Now, you have seen me do videos on this topic before, but never in the history of ever have I heard a drug company come out and clown its biggest supporters for using their medication in a way that they did not intend for it to be used. First of all, salute to Eli Lilly for being able to do that. I am not being sponsored by them, and nor do I want to be sponsored by them. The thing is that you got to give credit where credit is due. Rarely does a pharmaceutical company come out and tell people what you're doing with their product is disrespectful. It is unethical. Not illegal, but it is in fact unethical. Okay? And I saw part of the commercial. I'm trying to find it here now. Can't seem to find it. But I will look for it until I find it. And as I'm talking to you, you guys are going to see how this works. So let's see. I'm trying to see what it looks like. So I'm going to find it so that I could see. It's really interesting because I think people should, in fact, not be using this medication just for simple weight loss. First of all, as somebody who wanted to become an actor years ago, I, in fact, can imagine that you want to have every advantage that you could possibly have. But here's the deal. If you know you have a job to do, this is where you hire a trainer. You get in shape. You work out extra hard. And you put in the work to have the body you want so that way you could get picked up for movies. Consider it an investment. But far too many of us are taking the easy way out. Shout out to my cousin. Now that I'm thinking about it, shout out to my cousin. Today's his birthday. Shout out to my other cousin. Her birthday was the day before mine, which was on, hers was on Tuesday, mine was on Wednesday. However, one of the things that you guys have to understand is when it comes to these medications and misuse of medications, most pharmaceutical companies will not go out of their way to get you to not misuse their medication. So before we begin, I'm going to actually share my screen with you. Okay, so here we go. Pharmaceutical giant Eli Lilly is finally weighing in on Hollywood's obsession with Ozempic. Now, Eli Lilly does not make Ozempic, actually, but I don't think they have a similar drug of their own that they're basically telling you stop using for those purposes. In a commercial spot released Thursday, the company criticizes people who prescribe or take weight loss drugs without an obesity diagnosis. So the ad hits the airwaves days before the 96th Academy Awards, an epic Hollywood gathering where people tend to be laser focused on celebrities and their bodies. Eli Lilly is the company behind tirzepatide, sold under the brand name Zepbound, which was approved in November to treat people with obesity. Most people recognize the competing drug semaglutide by its name brand Ozempic, which is made for patients with diabetes and manufactured by Novo Nordisk. The company also sells the medication at a higher dose under the name Wegovy to treat obesity. James Zervios, Vice President and Chief of Staff for the Obesity Action Coalition, applauded the drug maker for speaking up about misuse of the drug. I am all for that myself. But he said the spot doesn't address the glaring challenge average Americans with obesity face in accessing the expensive drugs. Eli Lilly also released a second ad in black and white on Thursday that touched on the stigma of weight as a part of a campaign to connect with patients. Company CEO Dave Risk said, "We understand people who need these medicines, and this is why we made them." He said in an exclusive interview with USA Today, "Let's get serious about what these medicines are for." To Ricks, this ad was advocating for patients who need the drug, but others saw the commercial as a reappropriation of language used by fat activists and the body liberation movement to market a weight loss drug. "It feels sneaky to me. It feels insidious," said Tigris Osborne, executive director of the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance. I'm not for them. Just letting you know. Just between me and you, I'm not cool with it. And there's a difference between fat acceptance in the sense that people are fat and you need to accept the fact that they're fat, and within that fat acceptance you are seeing them as a human being, you love them as such. But I am not a pro obesity person, so if you don't like that, I'm terribly sorry. I have obese friends and I love them dearly, and I will never disrespect them within their levels of obesity. However, if they choose the lifestyle of obesity, that's their choice, and I'm not going to shame them for being obese. But you get the bull, you get the horn. So whatever comes of that, that's what you deal with. And in life, everybody's going to deal with something, but at the same time, I'm not going to disrespect somebody because they're obese. I don't disrespect my wife. She's obese. I have other friends that are obese. I don't disrespect them, and I'm quite friends with them, and I do not beat them over the head with my fitness lifestyle, and nor do I beat them over the head with choices that they can be making to not be obese. It's just that simple. However, this National Association to Fat Acceptance, no. I need more than one commercial to make me start trusting that Eli Lilly is genuinely interested in what's best for me. It's not necessarily what's best for you, literally. It's about the fact that people are misusing their medication, and people who don't want to be fat anymore, through whatever means that they can get it, even though I don't necessarily champion drugs as a means to lose weight, I am not going to sit here and mistrust Eli Lilly's message, because they're telling Hollywood to knock it off. And for me, I'm telling Hollywood, knock it off, because you have access to things that most people don't have access to. A lot of you are wealthy. Not all of you. I know the game. I know that you're famous. You're what Kevin Hart once called snap famous. What's his name? Oh, yeah, you that dude. Right? You might be that person. You might be snap famous, but at the same time, you have access to things that most people don't have access to. Hell, you could employ a personal trainer relatively on the cheap until you make it. Therefore, you reward them for their loyalty on the back end. But you pay them what you can until you are who you are wanting to be. Right? But I digress. Medicine never meant for them. Eli Lilly's new ad opens with a shot of a glittery gold dress and a man rolling out the red carpet. Some people have been using the medicine never meant for them for the smaller dress or tux for a big night, a voiceover says. But that's not the point. The company's message is clear. This new class of weight loss drugs is meant for patients diagnosed with obesity, which the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention says affects about 42% of adults in the United States. I don't agree with those statistics, and I'm going to tell you why. Because how are you classifying obesity? Are you classifying obesity based on BMI? Because if you are, then I'm going to turn around and just shoot you down as a professional. However, if you are genuinely going by 35% body fat for females, 25% and higher body fat for men, then you've got me as your champion of obesity. That is the true definition of obesity. I don't care if your BMI, which is height over weight, I don't care if that's what you're going by. Because, like I've told you, I'm 153 pounds at 5 feet 4 inches tall with a BMI of, I believe it's like 26 and some change. And they will consider me obese. I mean, they'll consider me overweight, not obese. But if I were to gain, say, another 25 pounds, I'm going to be obese based on their statistical data. But if I'm 85 to 90% muscle, how am I obese? I'm just muscular, right? But anyway, I digress. The commercial doesn't address that question. But patient advocates say there's a much more glaring problem Lilly and other drug manufacturers aren't addressing. Most Americans can't afford the medication, priced at more than $1,000 for a month's supply and covered by only a quarter of insurance companies. The drugs are also not covered by Medicare or Medicaid. That's because you have a more effective means of control. Because there's another thing that I'm going to ask the question about that many people aren't asking about. Well, what are you asking, Julien? The question that I have is this. What are the side effects? What happens when I stop taking this drug? What happens if I work out and take this drug? What happens then? Do I have to continue taking this drug over and over again? Or else the carriage turns back into a pumpkin? Or am I free of this, liquid sin, or this sin of injection for the rest of my life? Am I bound by the ball and chain, so to speak? So, truth be told is I don't care if it's not covered by Medicaid or Medicare. There are means and ways that one can go about utilizing this medication or not utilizing medication and get yourself healthy, which is, never mind me being the personal trainer that I am, but why don't you just simply go work out? Eat less. And when I say eat less, I'm not talking about in mass, I'm talking about in calories. But the problem is that because most of the foods that we eat that taste good are high in calories, we find ourselves on the tail end of the bull. Okay? At that price point, many say that only wealthy can afford them. Rick's solution is to push for coverage. But Zervios from the Obesity Action Coalition says pharmaceutical companies should make the medication more affordable. But then you're going to have a series of people who are just utilizing it as a crutch instead of actually taking the time to educate yourselves and learn the art of being fit. You are going to choose to go the drug route, especially if you can afford it now, wouldn't you? So if you could afford it, Aren't you going to do the same thing and abuse this medication? Isn't everybody else going to abuse this medication? So yes, Hollywood, in fact, is abusing this medication. But the truth is, aren't you going to abuse it too? Let's keep it a bean. Let's keep it a buck. Aren't you going to abuse it too? Show of hands for those of y'all who put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the comments if you have no intention on abusing this medication if you are in fact obese. Are you going to find your way to a gym? Are you going to change your diet? Are you going to monitor your health and take it more seriously if by miracle you just get this drug? Or are you going to just keep sticking yourself and keep stuffing your face with ice cream and donuts? Which one is it? Let's keep it real. Are you going to still drink alcohol in excess while eating a giant fat burger? Are you going to turn around and overconsume sugar but don't have an exercise regimen? Is that what you're going to do? Because you got Ozempic, you got Zeputide or whatever the hell the name of that drug is. What are you going to do? We're not supposed to be doing that. What are we going to do? What are we doing? I personally believe y'all just want an easy way out. Everybody is heading for the exit and nobody wants to climb over the bodies to do it. Everybody wants a tunnel, an elevator, an escalator of some kind to get out of the fat building. But nobody wants to do the heavy lifting and the hard work it takes to not be there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. So, I mean, seriously, how many of you agree with me? As a matter of fact, let's go. Let's keep reading here. That's an ask that we will continue to have until we get the price of these medications down. Oh, as opposed to not being obese, as opposed to not eating the garbage that you eat that makes you obese. You're going to just keep begging these people to lower the prices and open the door to let you in, so that way you could turn around and get your hands on however many vials of this delicious drug that allows you to turn around and just be fat in theory. But I digress, because now I'm getting upset. High demand has led to drug shortages, making weight loss medications like tirzepatide and semaglutide hard to find for the average patient. Rick said in February that there is no quick solution to supply problems, but he expects they will ease over time. No, they won't. Motivation matters. Although Rick says the new ads are meant to address and reduce weight stigma, Osborne says they exacerbate it by using messaging that promotes body positivity for a drug that ultimately shrinks bodies with excess weight. Holy smokes. Excess weight is killing you. Don't you get it? Your quality of life diminishes because your body fat is excessive, not your weight. Again, this is the biggest problem that I have with this whole entire swing for body positivity. Again, for my friends that actually end up watching this, feel free to comment below. Feel free to comment and tell them that I am the last person on this planet that will shame you for being obese. I don't care about you being obese from the standpoint of your appearance. Anybody that knows me knows that obesity has taken the life of my grandmother, who would have been 92 on Monday. It has caused physical stress to my wife to the point where it is of consequence. And it is also something that has taken many of my relatives. Obesity has taken my relatives. Okay? So forgive me if I am not the one who wants to coddle you and placate you with this ideology. Be who you are, love yourself, by all means. And if you are willing to take the good with the bad, sure thing. But this nonsense about trying to be upset because somebody's encouraging you to get into the body that you are meant to be in based on your physicality. There's a big difference between being large and being fat. There's a big difference between being heavy and being obese. You can be either. You could be two of those things and not be the other two. You can be large and heavy and not be obese, but you can sure be fat and obese. Okay? For decades, she says organizations like NAFA have spread awareness about the weight bias in medical offices that has deterred patients from seeking care, leading to worse health outcomes. Let me explain something to you. I have a friend, and she was actually scheduled to be on this show. But because of technical reasons, something happened and it just didn't work out. But I will have her back on. And she talked about her experiences in the doctor's office. And what I will say to you is, she knows who I'm talking about when she happens to ever see this. If she ever sees this. She will tell you that doctors have told her that she needs to lose weight. She's 5'10", and probably in the high 180s, if not, maybe even the 200s. I'm going to tell you, she came to me on a fitness journey, and I told her, be careful about how she goes about losing the weight, because what she was in high school is not what she's meant to be now. She's a grown woman now. She was a little girl, even though she was all of 5'10" then, and she hasn't grown since, I believe, 12. Her body had to fill out at some point. Now, she is not obese. I've seen her up close and personal, and hopefully we will get to see each other up close and personal again soon. However, she was not obese the last time I saw her. So for a doctor to suggest that she was obese, I could see the point that this person is trying to make here about weight bias in medical offices, because that is weight bias. Because when you step on the scale and it says 200 pounds, then that in of itself can be considered weight bias. Because when you get on the scale and it says 200 pounds, oh my God, you're fat. because you're the size of an NFL linebacker. No. Or you're the size of a running back because you're 5'10", 200 pounds. So, somebody's their daddy. Maybe their daddy was a running back. You think that that's just going to go away because they're automatically feminine? But here's the deal. I am going to go one step further. It is not weight that I'm concerned with. It is body fat percentage. Okay? I want people to understand the difference. Your weight has nothing to do with whether you're obese or not. Your body fat percentage does. If you know you are swimming in your own skin, you are obese. And it is not acceptable because it is killing you. However, if you're cold peanut butter, you're thick, you got some muscle density to you with a mild layer of body fat over it, you're not fat, you're large. And as a female, you're supposed to carry around 20% body fat on natural anyway. Or else your body doesn't function right. You go haywire. All kinds of things start happening. Need I go into that again? Because I know I've explained it before. Amenorrhea, let's start with that. That's a huge problem. If your body fat percentage gets below 15% body fat for long periods of time, your bones become brittle. Your period ends. And then your health problems begin to exacerbate as a result. So if you happen to have, let's say for instance, you happen to be 130 pounds of pure muscle, organ, and skin, hair, and bone. 130 pounds, 20%. Never mind your height. Again, I said muscle, hair, water, skin, and bone, and organ tissue. There's not an ounce of fat on you with 130 pounds. Do you know, at minimum, to be healthy, you need 15 to 20% of body fat on you. So let's start with the 20. You're talking about another 26 pounds added to 130. That means that woman is going to walk around at 156 pounds with 130 pounds of muscle. So what do you think a woman, particularly a black woman, who is about 5'10", how much muscle mass do you think she's walking around with? Especially one that ran track. What do you think she's walking around with? 140, 150 pounds of muscle? Let's say 150 pounds just for giggles. Do you know that's adding another 30 pounds to her frame just to be a normally functioning woman? Which means she will be 180 pounds minimum. But she gets another 10% to go along with that, within range where she's not considered obese. So let's say 30%. That's another 45 pounds she gets to add on. So that means she's walking around at 195 pounds. And yet we would want to call her fat, right? But she's not fat. She is healthy. She might be on the softer side of healthy. She might be able to pinch an inch here or there, but she is not fat. I guarantee you saw that woman in a bathing suit, you wouldn't be saying she's fat. You'll say she's thick. You'll say she's cold peanut butter. You'll say she's nice. She's caked up, right? So why is it that if you saw that woman in that physicality, you'd say she's caked up, but the minute you hear she's 195 pounds, oh, she fat? Knock it off. So there's a dichotomy in this message that I'm reading here. But now one of the main places of shaming is using that rhetoric to push pharmaceutical and surgical interventions. Again, I'm gonna share my screen again with you because this is where the rubber meets the road. This woman is obese. I'm not even playing with it. This is obesity. You want to know how I know? There is no way that this woman is under 30% body fat. No way. Under no circumstance should we shame her for being this large. No, absolutely not. It is not our place to shame her for being this large. The problem is, the real problem is that why would you want to be this large when you know it's affecting your health in every way, shape, and form? Now, what I can say, just by looking at her, I can't tell how tall she is, but I could definitely tell you she's no small, shrinking violet. She's not going to be a stick figure if she did happen to lose the weight. Well, Julien, how can you tell? For one, I'm looking at the size of her wrists, right? Her wrists aren't tiny. I'm looking at the muscle structure around her forearm, okay? I'm looking at the thickness of her neck. I'm looking at the width of her jaw. I'm looking at the size of her head. These are all telling me that she is not meant to be a skinny mini. That is not her body type. Her shoulder width is a little short. I don't know the size of her legs because I can't see them. I don't know if that's muscle or is that just obesity going on down there. So, but what I will say is she's definitely not meant to be this big. Can we say that? Can we agree to that? Can we be able to look each other face to face and say, you're not meant to be that big? Whatever big you're supposed to be, let it be that. And then you will have me as your champion. I will swing for the fences. I will chastise you. Remember Alexa Moreno, the young lady who was at the Olympics in, I believe it was 2016? Or was it 2012? I want to say 2016. And they were body shaming her because she didn't look like Black Widow on the balance beam. For one, that young lady, at the time a young lady, had been working her behind off to represent her country. You don't think she's putting in work? You don't think she's trying her best? You don't think she's in the best body that she could be in to perform in? Because guess what? She could do everything you cannot do. Have you ever stood on a balance beam? Let alone try to flip on it? She could do all of that. But because her body wasn't shaped like an hourglass and wasn't this thin or didn't have the muscularity of Simone Biles, so to speak, using her as an example, not shaming her either. Oh, by the way, y'all shamed her for having muscles. Y'all said she looked like a dude. Her and Sha'Carri Richardson. So never mind. Put a 1 in the chat if you remember that. And I went off. It was one of my largest viewed videos. You can find it. Shameless. It's called Shameless or Alexa Moreno edition. She did not deserve your ire. She's in the body she's meant to be in. Okay? So if you thought she was fat, you thought she was chubby or whatever, what have you, knock it off. Bop you over the head. And I'll show you what real fitness is. As a matter of fact, better yet, she'll show you what real fitness is, because she'll put you on that balance beam and make you look stupid. She'll put you on those uneven bars and make you look stupid. She'll get on that pommel horse and make you look stupid. She'll do a floor exercise and make you feel less than. Come on, let's get it. Let's go. Let's go. Get it up. Jump. Do a backflip. Do a double backflip. Do one backflip, let alone a triple. A triple layout. You know what I'm saying? You can't do any of that. You can't do it. But y'all be the first ones talking crap. But we're not talking about that specifically. We're being honest here. And this is where I don't like what's going on. That black and white commercial could have come from the NAAFA right up to the point where you sell the drugs to people. The American Medical Association recognized obesity as a disease in 2013. It is a disease. However, it is a preventable one. It's hard to navigate because with all the choices of foods and all the choices of treats that you can get your hands on, the thought of how delicious it is makes you reconsider whether or not you want the body or not. But that's another thing. But many body positivity activists and organizations like the NAAFA argue excess weight by itself does not cause health problems. Okay. That's a lie. That's a lie. Show me a diabetic that does not have a body fat percentage over 35. Show them to me. And I'm talking about type 2 diabetic. We ain't talking about type 1 diabetes, because anybody could get type 1 diabetes. But tell me who has type 2 diabetes that is not in an excess body fat percentage. I'll wait. Put a 3 in the chat if that's what you believe. If you don't believe that. If you believe that obesity does not cause weight problems, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn right now. Cash money. It'll be yours. If you give me $2 million cash right now, the Brooklyn Bridge is yours. Hell, you can have Dumbo. Eli Lilly is not the first drug company to play on messaging about body positivity, Osborne said. It is actually playing catch up. Ozempic manufacturer Novo Nordisk created a digital series called It's Bigger Than Me, in which paid spokespeople share personal experiences with weight loss. Osborne said, I'd like to see anybody who sees the commercial to go, what is the motivation of this commercial? Because the motivation matters. Okay, I'm going to come back out of that. Now, here's the deal. Think about it. How many people are in Hollywood right now? How many people are in Hollywood right now who act? Would you say tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of actors? But how many of them are A-listers that are in Hollywood? What, 500? Maybe? So you're making $500,000 a month on a drug. Make that make sense. It's a money grab. Of course it's a money grab. Because if everybody's buying out the material, nobody else can afford it. They could be making millions, as a matter of fact. $1,000 a pop, all you need is what? 1,000 people to buy it and you made $1 million. So yeah, let's say there's 1,000 billionaires in the United States of America now. So sure, why not? They're making $1 million each month, if not more. Just spinning random numbers out. But now watch this. Now here's where it gets funny. What would you say a medication being affordable would be? What would you say is affordable? $60? $60. Yeah, let's go with that. $60. 42%. Let's go with let's go with the unofficial number of 42%, right? Actually clear this. There's 370 million people in this country, right? 370. 370 million times 0.42. That's 155,400,000 people. 155,400,000 people. Now let's multiply that by 60. Because we said $60 is affordable, right? I want you to see it. So you see that I'm doing it. You're talking about $9 billion. Let's find out how much. Let's see. I'm looking at pricing information. Let's look at that real quick. Because this is Mounjaro. And this is list price of Mounjaro is $1,000 per fill. Now here's the question. How much does it take to fill it? Right? Okay. I want to know how many. I want to see something. Recommended dose is 2 milligrams injected subcutaneously. What's the dosage? Mind you, warning, risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. In both male, I'm just reading Mounjaro right now, holy smokes. In both male and female rats, tirzepatide caused dose-dependent and treatment duration-dependent thyroid C-cell tumors at clinically relevant exposures. It is unknown whether Mounjaro causes thyroid T-cell tumors, including medullary thyroid carcinoma, in humans, as human relevance of tirzepatide induced rodent thyroid C-cell tumors has not been determined. Non-clinical toxicology, MTC with use of Mounjaro and inform them of symptoms of thyroid tumors, mass in neck, dysphagia, dyspnea, persistent hoarseness, routine monitoring of serum calcitonin or thyroid ultrasound is of uncertain value for early detection of MTC. I want to see how many doses you get. Let's see. I'm going to go back. But anyway, let's go back. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. $9 billion a month. If everybody that is obese in America took this drug, this is what we're looking at. $9 billion monthly. Assuming it's not a 90-day injection. Let me see if they got those. Doses. Let's see. Ozempic. Supply. How many doses in Ozempic pen? The pen delivers 4 doses of the drug and 2 doses of this drug. It can deliver 4 doses of and the carton contains 1 pen with 4 milligrams per 3 milliliters of Ozempic pen. How long will the pen last? There we go. After the first use, an Ozempic pen can be stored in the refrigerator at room temperature. It should be stored in the pen cap and away from I don't care about that. I want to know, okay, how many clicks? 38 clicks. So to give yourself the starting dose, you need 19 clicks. How many pens is a 30-day supply? Okay, here we go. Ozempic is a once weekly injectable medication, so a person will need up to 4 pens to cover 28 days of treatment. So, okay, there you go. There's your answer. So let's see. 4 pens per month. Let's see how much 4 pens is. How much is 4 Ozempic pens? One Ozempic pen is $469. So you need 4 of them. That's $1,600. Let me look at that. Let's look at that. Because I want to make sure we are on the same page here. There's 4 doses. So you know that's $469. So correction. So like I said, one box for $60 a month. One box for $60 a month would net you, let's close these out. So you're talking about $9 billion a month, y'all. $9 billion a month if every person could afford Ozempic at $60 a pop. That's not even including insurance. So now if we say that you pay $60, what is the insurance company paying out? Could it be subsidizing the other 400? Maybe. Even if they lowered it to 300. Let's be generous, 180, and you paid 60. Okay, let's do that. 155 million. That's correct. Times 180. One, two. You're talking about $27 billion per month. $27 billion per month to get you to lose weight. I'm even going to get into the semantics of whether or not, if I'm going to be able to, what's going on here? Okay, here we go. I don't know what happened, but we just had a little bit of a hiccup. But I'm going to land this plane. Guys, the very same argument that is being made right now for quote unquote body positivity and this, that, the other, and they're trying to sell me this drug, but I want it to be more affordable. Why can't we have it more affordable? Is the very antithesis to being anti-drug company. You're actually begging them to make it cheaper so that way you can take it and feel quote unquote good about yourself. My mother always said easy street is the hardest street to walk. Shout out to my mom. Easy street is the hardest street to walk. And I'm going to tell you why, if you don't know already. How you got it is as quickly as you'll lose it. So if you're losing 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds on this weight loss drug, what happens when you stop? Shoot. What happens if you keep taking it? Clearly it says that you might have a case of thyroid cancer or thyroid tumors, correction. Well, tumors are usually cancerous, right? Whether it's benign or malignant is a whole nother story. But your thyroid is all jacked up because at the cellular level, it's affecting your metabolic rate. It is either speeding it up. Well, I would imagine it's speeding it up. It's speeding up your metabolic rate, and your thyroid has something to do with metabolic regulation. So as a result, so what's going on here? I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I'm going to assume that we're still on and we're still vibing. But anyway, you have a responsibility to work hard for what you got. Because if you work hard, you'll then reap the benefits, and it's going to be that much harder for you to lose it. Guys, you've seen the journey. I had hip surgery a year ago. I'm squatting 205 pounds with no knee wraps, no belt, and I'm doing 6 reps. No pain in my hip. If I'm doing that, how do you think I got there? Do you think I got there because I just got it like that? Or did I put in the work? And therefore, I lost my strength. I lost my endurance. I had to work for it back. But because my body was at a certain baseline, what I lost didn't make me completely an invalid. I didn't need my crutches past 3rd day. I didn't need a cane past day 7. I was off my medication. I was off my strong medication after 7 days. After 3 days, correction. After 3 days, I stopped taking my hydrocodone. My hydrocodone. I stopped taking it after 3 days. I was on the Proxin and the anti-infectious drugs that I was on to deal with the wound healing of the surgery. Outside, and the nerve pain that I would get, or I could get. Outside of that, I wasn't taking any strong drugs after day 3. Don't believe me? Feel free. My wife will be able to put it in the comments. And if my wife is watching, my wife will be able to comment in the chat right now and tell you. She'll be able to tell you. I was driving myself after 3 days. After my first physical therapy visit, I walked in. And my physical therapist could not believe that I was the person that he was going to be dealing with. He was like, "Wait, you're my hip patient?" "Yep, sure am." "You're not what I expected." Not bragging to brag, but I'm trying to get you to understand something. I'm trying to get you to understand the hard work that you put in now pays dividends later. And I want you guys to understand that as well. So, do me a favor, guys. If you have lasted this long, go ahead and like this video and share it with other people. And also, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button, click the little bell, and click the all notifications so that way you get every bit of information that I put out. I appreciate your time, y'all. Have a nice day. Be the best you. Class is Stoutt.